Coaching editor in 4th Street basketball can be accessed by clicking on the coach editor icon up on the toolbar of the home page. And when you get into here, we're working with Boston right now, you'll see immediately a time management page. As of this date, although some of this is functional, it's not complete and is not used by the AI during game action, and it may in fact even be eliminated from the program because the AI does a pretty good job of simulating what the usage factors should be for the players based upon their fatigue rating and their total minutes, average minutes played. On the offense tab, we have a series of sliders that work for this, and there's a way to set the pace during the game. So the faster pace, more shots will be taken in a lesser period of time, but your players will become more fatigued more easily. Slower pace will slow the game down. You won't get as many shots in. The team pace is listed up at the top next to the league average. Boston had a pace that was below the league average in 1980 and 81. Standard deviation for the league was 2.51, so this is roughly half a deviation point away from average. To modify this, there are two sliders that can be adjusted, and all you need to do is hover the mouse over the area and drag it up. If you're not sure which one you're changing, you can simply hold the mouse over it and the tooltip text will pop up. So right now we have set this pace to increase by 25% when this team is up by 20. So fast pace rather. On the other hand, the normal pace is 25 and the slowdown is 50. So if you're up by a lot, you probably want your pace to be slower during the game. So maybe we would drop that way down, maybe even to 0. Further on, if you're down by 20 points or more, you might want to increase the pace, at least for part of it. So these rows designate when this takes place. So in the first 2 minutes of a period, if you're down by 20, it's going to ramp it up a little bit by about 30%. And it'll actually slow it down about the other 70%. The middle part of the period is between the first 2 minutes and the last 4 minutes, as designated on this chart. So you have control over what the pace will be generally of the team. Mods up at the top I would leave alone, and usually if you do decide to automatically change these, I would leave them the same for all the teams. Defensively, you can also adjust some things here. We have man, zone, and press settings. Of course, in 1980-81, there was not a zone set up, so you really wouldn't want to change into a zone at that point. Again, if we hold this over, we have press being 30%, man being 70%, etc. So these can be manually adjusted. You can also, if you prefer, simply hit the automated generator and it will generate these settings for you based upon the best information that is available. Unfortunately, there isn't much information available for any season as of this writing. So as of this video, even for the current season of 2021-22, there really isn't much data out there as far as which teams spend the majority of the time in man, zone, or press. You can also set the double team settings in much the same manner. So this will double team when it double teams. It'll double team the number 1 player 79% of the time, the number 2 21% of the time. Alright, you're more likely to double team when the score is closer Whereas if you get outside these bounds, it's not going to happen too often with Boston. Now, for some of the other teams, that may be slightly different. Let's see what happens with Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia will double team a little bit more frequently based on some of the information that the computer is providing the program. All right, and then there's also a little bit of information that you can provide when calling timeouts. So this is for if the opposing team goes on a run of, say, 7 points or more in period 1, it'll be more likely to call a timeout when it can, etc. Otherwise, in the professional basketball, the usual mandated timeouts at 7 and 3 minutes are taken